Free eviction defense lawyers for tenants to fight eviction is a jobs program for bad lawyers. I'm Tony, and this is Real Estate Investing and Landlord News. All right, so I have an interesting article for you today, and it's going over a topic that I have covered before, and that's the free legal defense for tenants who are fighting eviction, okay? And my personal belief is that it's a program to give jobs to bad lawyers, okay? My opinion is that lawyers who can't make it, who can't cut it any other way, well, guess what? They are getting their free government money to pay for their salaries, and that's why that they're sitting there, they're filing useless motions, they're dragging proceedings out for tenants who don't have a case, and that the laws that put these kind of free lawyers and they give them to these tenants, they are basically a waste of taxpayer money. They're a waste of taxpayer money. They hurt landlords. They hurt good landlords. They benefit bad tenants, and they give jobs to people who don't need it, okay? It's a complete joke. These laws are a complete joke. You know, they call it, I can't remember what they call it, but it's like right to counsel, I believe. And it's awful. It's absolutely awful. They're like, oh, well, the tenants, they deserve a lawyer because the landlord has a lawyer and they don't. Well, you know what they don't mention? They never mention when they bring up these laws is that the landlord has to pay for the lawyer out of their own pocket. Okay, it's not like the landlord is provided an attorney for free. Okay, the landlord has to pay for a lawyer out of their own pocket. Not only do they not mention that fact, but a lot of landlords do not have a lawyer. Okay, that's the other thing they don't mention. A lot of landlords who can't afford an attorney, they are representing themselves in court. So this is not comparable at all. Like the lie that they tell is, oh, this is comparable to criminal court. Well, keep in mind that in criminal court, it is a prosecuting attorney or who represents the people, right? Who is going against an individual. In this case, it is a civil proceeding where it is one individual party going against another individual party, or, you know, a business or whatever, right? So as an example, it would be like saying, okay, we have a person who got burned by hot coffee at McDonald's, right? And that person, the government is going to pay for that person to sue McDonald's because they got burned by hot coffee. Why would the government pay so that this person over here can sue McDonald's? They wouldn't. But in some weird bizarro land reality, they decided, oh, well, we need to pay so this person can, fight a lawsuit by that person. Or, it makes no sense. It makes absolutely no sense. And the article I'm going over today, it kind of illustrates that fact. I'm going to break it down because it's not from a perspective of a landlord or a taxpayer or somebody with common sense. It's from the perspective of one of these blood-sucking bad lawyers who is getting this government handout. That's who wrote this article, and they're trying to justify it. And I rip it apart as I'm going to go through it. So before I get into the article, go ahead, hit the like, subscribe button, maybe leave a comment down below and let me know what you think. Do you think that requiring or giving these free lawyers to tenants, do you think that's a jobs program for bad lawyers, okay? Do you think that these lawyers are just getting a free handout? That's why that they are so willing to file all this paperwork. Do you really think that this is actually helping? And that's the other thing. Is this actually helping keep housing affordable? Is this helping make it so that there are more rental units available out there? Is this actually stopping bad landlords, the very few bad landlords there are? Is it actually stopping them from being bad? I don't think it's doing any of those things, okay? So anyway, let me get into this article because, this is hard to believe that somebody wrote this thinking that, this is a good thing. So anyway, let me get into it. This article is coming from realchangenews.org, which I've never heard of this publication before. I'm assuming it's a far left-leaning publication. But anyway, let me get into the title. It's called "Tenant Attorneys Aren't the Problem. lack of housing is. Yeah, tenant attorneys aren't the problem. It's the lack of housing, right? Right? Wrong. It's written by a person named Joey Wolf. And according to this article here, Joey Wolf is an eviction defense attorney with the Housing Justice Project, which provides right to counsel eviction defense for low-income families in King County. Wow, of course, the defense attorney himself would be like, yes, you need me. You know what? We need to make sure that the county provides millions of dollars to pay bad lawyers like me. Anyway, let's see what this guy says. In April 2021, Washington passed legislation reforming eviction laws and guaranteeing a right to counsel, RTC, for low-income tenants. These changes are, of course, controversial in the minds of landlords and property managers, much like the promise of public defenders probably was for prosecutors. For some, lords of the land, the state committing to providing legal counsel for the poor is an extreme, unbearable injustice. Now, let me stop right there. First paragraph, and we immediately see where this person is coming from. They're coming from the assumption that, one, all tenants are poor, and two, all landlords are rich. Now, I don't know about you, right? But I know quite a few landlords who are nothing but regular middle-income people working full-time jobs and then maybe own one property, the house maybe that they used to live in themselves that they decided to start renting out. And now you're giving that person who is just middle class, you're attacking them as a lawyer as though, oh, well, you don't deserve to have your property back. You don't deserve to be paid the rent that you're owed. You should have to put up this tenant freeloader for as long as they want to stay. Yeah, whatever, okay? Like I said before, a lot of small mom and pop landlords have to represent themselves in court because they can't afford lawyers either. So now you're in a position where you're the landlord and you're unrepresented in court. You're going against some free attorney that was provided for a tenant who, remember, 95% of all eviction cases are for non-payment of rent. They are not because the landlord is being mean. They're because the tenant didn't pay. So there's no defense to that. There is no defense unless you're suddenly paying the rent. But guess what? You can extend it out because you're a crap lawyer. You're going to extend it out as long as possible to make the landlord pay. Yeah, put a middle-class person into bankruptcy because you're greedy. Yeah, man, some of these lawyers, you know what? I don't hate lawyers. I'm not like one of those people who hates lawyers, but I hate anyone who tries to take advantage of good people who are just trying to make a living, okay? The truth is, the eviction and criminal systems are not very different. They both target very similar communities and identities, have life-threatening consequences for defendants, and offer no help for the fundamental problems leading to their existences. RTC is not a solution to the eviction process, just as public defenders do not solve the criminal system. It simply highlights the futility of the process as a whole. Now, this is idiotic, okay? Comparing the civil eviction system with a criminal system, okay? That is dumb. It is completely different. Now, the criminal system is the government going against an individual, okay? The government going against an individual. In the civil eviction process, it is one individual going against another individual. Now, I don't know about you, but those things seem completely different. The government has pretty much unlimited money. They have attorneys on staff. Every county in this country has county attorneys working for them, okay? They have on staff. And their whole thing is trying to prove that you are guilty in a criminal case, right? In a civil eviction case, it is one person suing another person, okay? And the person over here doesn't have an unlimited budget. They might not have a budget at all. They might be in there defending themselves. And all they're trying to do is get their property back and assert their right to their property, and your violation of the lease. The person over here, right, they have to prove that, if they did pay their rent, they need to prove that fact, okay? So you have two individual parties. It is completely different. Plus the consequences. What is the consequence? Oh, I have to move now because I didn't pay my rent. That's not a dire life and death situation. That's I have to move because I didn't pay my rent to that landlord and now I've got to leave. Okay, well, move on, move to somewhere you can't afford. Move on. Get the heck out of there. Okay? We're not talking about, taking somebody's freedom away. We're not talking about incarcerating somebody for years on end. Goodness, you know what? You're such manipulative lies in the first two paragraphs. I mean, this is so frustrating reading this article. This might be a long video because I'm going to keep going. It's important to note that even with RTC, tenants do not get the same level of attorney representation that landlords often obtain. While RTC lawyers provide an excellent caliber of legal assistance, high demand for attorneys means that full representation is often limited to when cases are actually filed with the court, which is significantly far into the eviction process. Landlords, on the other hand, often have access to counsel long before an eviction even lawsuit starts. If they don't have an established firm, an available eviction attorney is just a phone call away. Wow, it's so unfair that the landlord is paying thousands of dollars out of pocket. Not only did we not get paid our rent, but now we have to pay a lawyer thousands of dollars to go through an eviction process. And you're saying, well, that isn't fair. That isn't fair that you're paying so much money to that lawyer. Excuse me, but it's no different than a person who, is trying to, like, if the tenant wanted to, they could hire their own attorney to represent them. There's no law saying that they can't. Okay? There's no law saying that they can't, but here's the truth. They have nothing to fight. Okay? If you didn't pay your rent and you owe that landlord money, then you're in the wrong. So why would you pay a lawyer thousands of dollars to fight something and you can't even pay your rent? It would be just dumb. It would just be idiotic, okay? So, yeah, it annoys me that they think, oh, yeah, you know what? We need to get in here and extend this out. So give them time to find a new place. Well, you know what? Time to find a new place really means that we need the landlord to pay for this person to live for free. We need someone to subsidize this person's housing. We need the landlord to be a homeless shelter for somebody who doesn't have a home. No, that's not our job. That's not our responsibility. So, this article is frustrating in so many ways because all the talking points that this guy's bringing up, right? And what does it really come down to? He has a personal benefit if these laws are passed, okay? He benefits personally. The more they raise taxes, the more millions of dollars they send to these programs because that gives him a job. Okay, you're a lawyer. You don't have to leech off of the government. Go be a corporate attorney. Go be a divorce attorney. Go be a criminal defense attorney, right? But you don't need to be leeching off of the government to protect a bunch of freeloaders who don't pay their bills. That's idiotic, okay? You can protect those people all you want, but maybe they should pay you out of their own money instead of using taxpayer funds to provide free lawyers to one side of a civil dispute. That's idiotic, okay? So, man. I'm going to skip down a little bit in this article. It's a long one, and you know what? I'm not going to read this whole thing, right? But I just want to clarify that, this person has a personal interest in making sure that these laws are continue to be passed and that they continue to fund them with taxpayer money. And I'm so much against socialism. I'm so much against the small landlords in particular, right, getting punished because they put these laws in place to we're gonna protect the tenants against the bad landlords, and then guess who gets caught up in that net? Good landlords get caught up in it. Ones who did everything right. Well, we can't get bad tenants out of our properties because these bad tenants they know the system. They know how to play the game, and they will screw us over like nothing. He says, it's clear these systems weren't designed to help poor people. You can tell by watching what happens to these systems when poor folks can access them. Not even win or control them, just access. Defendants show up to court. That system is overwhelmed, and the defendants apply for housing, and the wait lists close. So tenants turn to relying on benefits, but end up getting left on hold for hours, days, weeks. We are spending countless resources constructing glass systems that build an aesthetic of responsiveness, but break at the first touch. If we want to help tenants or fix our eviction system, we must actively invest in what low-income tenants need: abundant, accessible, and affordable housing. And I will say, of what he wrote, I do agree we need more housing. But think about what this guy and what his type, what they mean when they say we need more affordable housing. They mean government housing, okay? That's it. They mean socialized housing. They don't mean private property owners providing housing, which is the most efficient and the least expensive way to provide that housing. No, they think that the best way is if the government provides housing for all of the poor people, right? And we've seen the results of that, you know, like in California where we're going to build affordable housing units and, you know, for the homeless, and they build these housing units and it ends up costing like $1 million per unit for each house they build. And, you know, we're sitting here wondering like, well, how the heck did we end up with homeless people living in $1 million homes? That's ridiculous, okay? So anyway, I'll put a link to this ridiculous article in the description down below if you want to check it out. But, you know, let me know what you think of this whole situation. Do you think that tenants need free attorneys to fight their eviction cases?